Every time you step outside, you're being cataloged. And I don't mean by a camera or some sensor, I mean by a cockatoo that absolutely never forgets a face. Or a grudge. Just let that sink in for a second. You aren't being observed casually. You're being filed, remembered, cross-referenced against every other time that bird has seen you, in a memory system that's been running since the first morning you walked past its tree. You probably didn't even notice when it started. Most people don't. But somewhere in your neighborhood, there's a bird that knows your schedule better than your own next-door neighbor. And right now, you have no idea what it's decided about you. You've seen that head tilt, right? That slow, deliberate rotation. One eye locks onto you, the body goes totally still, and the feathers barely move. Most of us just read that as curiosity-like. It's this cute, endearing thing birds do when they're interested in something. But here's the weird part. That tilt isn't random. It's not idle. The geometry of it, the exact angle, the stillness, the timing is an active scanning posture. The bird isn't looking at you the way you look at something in a store window. It's processing you. It's running you through a pattern recognition system that never, ever switches off. See, their eyes are on the sides of their heads, so getting a straight-on binocular focus takes real effort. When a cockatoo turns to lock one eye directly on you, it's made a choice. It's decided you're worth the full resolution. And once that gaze hits, you aren't just being seen, you're being read. We walk past them every single day. We treat them like background noise. What almost nobody realizes is that while we're busy ignoring them, they're doing the heavy, careful work of observation. And honestly, they've been doing it way longer than we've been paying attention. Think about your day. You have a routine. You don't think of it as a routine. You're just living your life. But from the outside, your patterns are incredibly consistent. The time you leave in the morning, how fast you walk, whether you're staring at your phone or keeping your head down, to you, it's just Tuesday. To the cockatoo on that branch, it's just another data point in a sequence it's been tracking for months. And this is where it gets interesting. It's not your routine they're actually interested in. It's the breaks in that routine. Remember that day you walked out 40 minutes earlier than usual? There was a response, a shift in where they were perched, a call that wasn't directed at another bird. When you came home carrying something large and weird, the nearest birds moved to a higher branch before you even hit the gate. It wasn't the object that bothered them. It was that the object was wrong. It didn't fit your pattern. To them, a pattern deviation in a person they know isn't a minor thing. It's an alert. They aren't really watching you when you're being predictable. They're waiting for you to be unpredictable. And when you are, they react in real time before you've even realized that anything has changed. Here's the mechanism behind all of this, and it's honestly way stranger than you'd expect. See, a cockatoo's brain isn't wired like a mammal's. The parts that handle memory, prediction, and social stuff are organized totally differently, but the results? They're pretty much the same as ours. What researchers have found, especially with big parrots, is that the areas responsible for episodic memory, remembering specific events in order, tied to certain people, are way bigger than in most other bird families. This isn't just basic memory like danger or food. This is narrative memory. They're tracking sequences, cause and effect. Over time, a cockatoo doesn't just recognize your face. It remembers the last 47 times it saw you, what happened during those encounters, and how they all fit into your behavior over the last few seasons. It isn't just keeping a static profile on you. It's running a constant simulation. It's a predictive model that gets updated every single time you show up. Think about what that actually means. Every morning you walk to your car, you're feeding new data into a model that's been building since the day you moved in. And that model isn't just sitting in one bird's head, it's being cross-referenced with your household, your guests, the delivery drivers, the neighbors. It doesn't stop there either. This isn't just an individual thing. The flock shares this info through their own calls and movements. What one bird knows about you, the others know too. Your profile isn't just held by one bird. It's distributed across the whole group. So let's get specific about what they're actually sorting through. When you walk at your normal pace, carrying nothing, just following your usual path, you're a known variable, you're neutral, filed under expected. The birds nearby might not even blink. You've been categorized, and today you're just confirming it. Now, change one thing. Just walk a bit faster, even a little bit. The response shifts. It's not dramatic, but you'll see the nearest birds reorient, maybe a quiet vocalization, or the whole group gets a little more alert. Why? Because to them, an increase in speed is a red flag, a pre-threat variable. They've seen it happen before with other people, and their system just flags it automatically. Carry something, and it changes again. The object itself doesn't matter as much as the fact that it throws off your rhythm. Your center of gravity shifts. Your arm swing changes. Your predictability drops. And in their system, less predictability moves you up the risk scale. You aren't dangerous, but you're definitely worth watching closer. But flip this around. If you consistently walk slowly near their trees, if you don't make direct approaches, if you just behave in a way that doesn't trigger their alarms over time, your score drops. Researchers have actually found that people who move through a territory gently and consistently get treated with way less suspicion than strangers. These birds aren't just tolerating you. They've literally assigned you a lower threat score based on all that evidence. You have a score. You've always had one. You just weren't told about it. And here's the part that gets personal. It isn't just your movement they're reading. It's something more, something closer to what we call your presence, the pace you carry yourself at, whether you're scanning the environment or just walking with your head down, how your energy registers when you're stressed versus relaxed, because that shows up in your walk, the speed of your glances, and these tiny shifts in body language that most humans miss. But to a creature whose survival depends on reading animals way more dangerous than us, it's all totally legible. You have a reputation in the canopy of your own street. A reputation you've been building unconsciously every single day, just by existing in a space they claimed long before you got there. Some people have great reputations with their local flock. They're seen as calm, unthreatening, and reliable. The birds don't even move when they walk by. In some cases, they'll even move toward these people, like they're a safe anchor point in their social landscape. Other people? They trigger avoidance everywhere they go. Not because they're bad people, but because something in their pattern, their speed, their sudden movements, their unpredictability has built a profile that just reads as low trust. You didn't apply for either of these ratings. You didn't even know the assessment was happening, but it has been. It's ongoing. And honestly, it's surprisingly accurate. And this is where it gets kind of wild. It actually escalates into something really remarkable. They aren't just reacting to what you're doing right now. They're predicting what you're about to do next. If you always take the same path to the same spot in your yard, they know where you're headed before you even get there. The birds sitting near your destination, they'll start moving before you've even arrived. It's not because they hear you coming. It's because your path, combined with everything they've memorized about your behavior, tells them exactly where you're going. They're running a live prediction based on just a few clues. This is basically intent mapping. It's the same cognitive skill that lets social animals anticipate what their own group members are about to do. Only they're applying it to you, an outsider they've just watched long enough to build a model of. In studies with corvids and large parrots, they've actually shown that these birds can predict a person's movements with an accuracy that goes way beyond luck or simple if this then that reactions. They aren't just reacting. They're prepositioning because they've built a model of your mind. That bird on the fence, it's not waiting to see what you'll do. It already has a working theory, and honestly, it's probably right. Now, just step back and look at your street for a second. Try to see it differently. The neighborhood you walk through every single day, the one you think of as yours, defined by your house and your routines. It's actually something else entirely. It's a mapped territory. It's a social network with its own hierarchy, its own memory, and its own rules about who belongs and who looks a bit off. You aren't outside of that network. You never have been. You're a character in it. You have a history, a reputation, and a predictive model attached to your face. And that network? It's been updating your file every single morning since you moved in. You probably thought you were just sharing a neighborhood with some birds, but what you're really sharing is a dual reality. the one you're busy navigating, and the one they've silently constructed around you, annotated with every little thing they've learned about you over the years. Both realities are just as real. The only difference? Only one of them actually knows the other exists. There's something honestly pretty profound about this, if you just stop and let it sink in. You're never really alone in your own backyard. Those trees aren't just empty space, and the branches aren't just sitting there. You've got witnesses up there. They remember that afternoon you came home feeling upset, moving in a way that wasn't your usual rhythm. They noticed the weeks you were away. They saw you pull into the driveway, and they adjusted their whole mental map of the yard to include you again. They're holding on to a version of your life. Maybe it's not the way a human friend would understand it, but they're observing you with this consistency, a level of focus that honestly most people don't even offer each other. In their memory, you matter. It's not because of anything you did or said. It's just because you were there, and they were paying attention. I have to ask, has a bird ever seemed like it was waiting for you? Maybe it's always on the same branch at the same time each morning, or it just shifts the second you step outside, like it knew you were coming. Tell me the weirdest, most interesting interaction you've had with a local bird down in the comments. I really think some of you have been living inside this system for years. You just maybe never had the words for what you were seeing.